Right. Okay, there's some bees still alive down there, but I don't see any bees coming out the bottom entrance. So this hive is in the middle of the other two hives. No, they're still alive. Looks like they're down on the... I don't know, it's funny that the other two that are flying out and these ones aren't. I'd like to say that it's okay now to to remove the all the insulation. But I don't know, you never know if we're gonna get a freezing weather that could chill them. Let's see what we got here. Okay, they're okay. I don't know why they're not coming out the bottom entrance. So far they're not too angry, and they're eating this pollen patty, or not pollen patty, this let's see how pissed off they are. That's okay. No, they're not trying to sting me, so that's nice. Nice to see well-behaved bees. They look okay. Let's give them some pollen. They look okay. So we got bees filling the top box, and we've got still a fair bit of capped honey. So that's pretty good. Oh, this pollen is a bit dried off, but anyway. They look fine. I don't know why they're not coming out the bottom entrance, but I put the fondant there and they're crawling inside the hive, so they know where home is. So that's okay. This is a perfect day for doing it. There's no wind. I'm going to peel off some of this fondant. It's a bit of a mess, but they'll find it. Okay, whoops, just killed a bee. And I really wish we had some inner covers with the top entrance. They come in handy at times. It's like some bees too, they don't, and I don't see any poop, and I don't see a lot of, a little bit of moisture on the edges, but nothing bad, looking good. But some bees, I just don't get it, but they don't seem to, know where the bottom entrance is. So, anyway, for whatever reason, they're not using the bottom entrance. I'd like to give them a top entrance, but when I bought my inner covers, I got inner covers that didn't have top entrances, notches, so that's what we got. Good enough, looking good. We'll come back here in a week and see how they're doing with that protein. They don't need this moisture, this hive pillow, but I got nowhere else to put it, so I'll just put it here for now. Boom. Looking good. I don't know why they're not using that bottom entrance though. My first thought was they're dead, but they're not. I just got stung, but it was from a bee. I think a bee crawled up my jacket. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this is the one closest to the house. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. These are the ones that always seemed a little bit in a bad mood. It's funny, the ones on the other end, seemed like the ones in a bad mood, but now these ones are in a bad mood. I should have taken this tape off before I did this, because the noise and the vibrations are probably agitating the bees, and I could give them, I could do this, do that, and then walk away for a few minutes and let them calm down. Alright, there goes the ventilation rim. I've got bees crawling on my legs, but they're just sitting, they're not stinging me. If they were stinging me, their bodies would be bent. So they're just, that's a chilled out reaction, which is good. I like it. I think the stings that I got up my jacket, up my sleeves, were just bees that got stuck there and aren't actually, defensive. Alright, this should be fun. Look at these bees. So, let's see if they're in a... I should have tucked in my my t-shirt. I think that's what's happening. They're crawling up my t-shirt. Oh yeah, these bees are coming out. Alright, well I might have to walk away. We'll see. Oh yeah, look at that. They're already starting to build comb over the top bars. And look at the chunk of bees up top here. That's a lot of bees. So I'm going to spray them down. And I'm going to shake them back into the hive. So that's a whole lot of bees. The smoke might not get them to go down like I'd like them to, but let's see what they're doing with this. But at least it discourages them from flying in my face. So they've got some fondant, and they're not eating much of it. They've eaten some of it, but not a lot of it. So they might have enough honey on their own. That they just don't want it. Look at them, they're really clumping up high. So the first chance I get, when the weather's warm enough, which it probably won't be for another 2 weeks at least, I'm gonna knock these babies down to a single deep. But they're looking great. This is just packed with bees. And I'll knock them down to a single deep so that they build up quicker. When you give them less space, they do tend to build up quicker. Yeah, so a basic principle in beekeeping is give them what they need and only what they need. So if they don't need all the space, then get rid of the extra space. But if they need space, give it to them. And right now these bees, this is in a 2 deep box, and this whole box, I hope, is completely full of bees, but I don't know. I'm so tempted to pull out a frame. But these bees are actually pretty chilled out. They're not like, look. They're not trying to sting me. They're not agitated by the fast movement of my hand or anything like that. So that's for me, that usually means the queen is happy and healthy. Her pheromones are flying around all over the place. They're all sucking in the happy drug. Happy good times of the queen. And I don't think this hive needs any more sugar, but they got it just in case. And why risk it? So I'm going to give them, that's pollen, and this is sugar. Protein and sugar. And they look pretty good. All of these frames, except for these, there's a couple funky ones over here that had plastic foundation that didn't have any wax on them when I put it in, and the bees didn't build, they built funky comb all over it. It was just a waste of space. That's what happens when you get a plastic foundation that doesn't have wax on it sometimes. Looking good. Man, I wish I could tear these hives apart and look what's going on inside, but I don't. You know, they've got it worked out. They're doing their thing. And if I pull it all to pieces right now, while they're still reacting to the cold weather, then they get all messed up. You know, they get their survival instincts for staying out of the cold overrides their brood rearing instincts, and things go out of whack. But when it's warm and they're not worried about freezing to death, you can pull the hives apart and really do a full examination of what's going on and checking it all out and blah blah blah. I'm yakking. I gotta get back to work. I'm doing this on my lunch hour. But there's bees flying all around me. I'm wearing a black shirt, which, you know, they should be stinging, but they're not. Look, this is exactly what you want to see in the spring, or what I like to see, and what I do see in the spring. The bees just want to get out and poop. They want to fly around, and they don't want to sting you, right? They're just sitting on you because they're just happy to be alive. So that's looking good. And I got all this Tyvek around this hive, around these 3 hives, and I think I'm gonna, what it is, I've got a hard insulation on the other side, one side. This is the north side where it gets really cold, and that's there to just to keep them warm over the winter. And we'll see if it works. I think it worked, but if they don't need it now, the thing is, today seems like a beautiful day. It seems like, they don't need it. but inevitably we're going to get another snowstorm or some polar vortex or something. So I'll just leave it on. That's the thing with Newfoundland is you know, you see it and you just think, oh, okay, time to take off the mouse reducers and everything else. But then, you know, 2 weeks from now, it's just this whole thing could be covered in snow and it could be freezing, and you just don't know, right? It's like it's sort of like this artificial spring that we have in Newfoundland. But it's about, what is it? It's April 12th today, and I think we probably won't be able to dig into these hives and really give them a good examination. And I keep saying examination, but a good hive inspection until the snow is still. I mean, look, we got snow all over the place, right? And the snow's got to go before I do that. And look at all the dead bees that I scraped out of this hive. But I don't see signs of disease and poop or anything like that. So they look really great. This is fantastic. All right, this is hive number 3. And I'm not getting stung. And the bees are alive and they're happy. And I'm happy. And the seagulls are happy. Now this is a hive that it had a lot of moisture built up earlier in the winter. So I'm curious how they're doing. That's why I put on the hive pillow. The hive pillow sort of works like a moisture quilt. Some people call it a Vivaldi board, which is expensive, fancy pants version of a moisture quilt. It costs probably 5 times as much as a homemade moisture quilt, but if you can afford it, might as well. Which I can't, so I don't. I got these hives all taped up here because there's a few cracks between the supers. Someday, someone will make supers that are perfect, where water can't seep between the cracks, and you don't have to tape them up. Put silicone between the cracks. In fact, there is such a hive, but it hasn't made its way to Newfoundland yet, because things take a while to get here. So let's just see. But I got one. And it ain't this one. Okay. I don't have much water left. Oh no, hold on. So you see something like this and you kind of freak out a bit. But let's just take a look. I'll show you. They're not eating the fondant because this, and this, and this, and this, and that are solid, massive, thick combs of honey. No, they're not even eating the fondant. So it doesn't look good. Right off the bat, you're thinking, boy, there's not many bees in here. But I see plenty of bees coming and going out of the bottom entrance. And it's my hope and my guess that these bees are clustered down below in a big cluster, and they just have a gigantic block of honey up top, and they don't need to come up yet because they still got plenty of honey down below. And this big block of honey up top, it's a heat sink. It holds heat, so they don't need to go up there. They've got heat down below. This is basically a big block of insulation, and this white stuff here is just the fondant. So they look chill. I hope they're alive. See, that's the thing with I've had this happen before, where I open up the top, and you don't see many bees up top, and you think, oh no, they're all dead, but they're all just down below. I've had colonies that spend the winter down below, and they don't come up to the top until they've eaten through the honey down below, and so you just can't tell if they're okay, or if they're starving, or what's going on. But yeah, and there's a bit of mold on this hive, but hopefully not too bad. See, that's my only concern, is that mold got in there and it did something bad. But there are like if I were to judge by this, I would say, oh no, they're dead. They're in hard shape. But I don't know if that's the case. You just can't gauge that when the bees have been clustering down below all winter. And I wish I didn't have my veil on, because I could stick my face right down into the hive and see what's going on. Maybe I can. Yeah, I'm not even gonna give them this, because I can see they have plenty of honey. I'm not gonna give them this fondant, because I can tell they're just loaded with honey. I will put it aside, and I'll give it to one of the other ones if the other one is feeling a little hungry. So anyway, that doesn't look like, you know, that's the kind of thing, you know, I've seen this before, where it's sort of like you might want to freak out a bit and think, oh no, there's not many bees. Compared to those other two hives, it doesn't look like many bees. But there's just as many bees coming out the bottom entrance of this hive as there were out of the other two hives. And the one next to this hive doesn't have any bees coming and going out of the bottom entrance. So it's a real, you know, it's a real trick trying to read the hive sometimes. I got a bee in my veil, I had to squish. Yeah, I know people, you like to judge from the external observations, but you can't always tell. Because I've seen more bees, just as many bees. Okay, here we go. Now the bees, the hive that didn't have any bees coming out the bottom, now have bees coming out the bottom. I brought here it is right here. I brought the fondant down here that had the bees on it, and I laid it there while I was inspecting the hive, giving them some protein. And now they've discovered the bottom entrance. But see, these bees are just as active. There's not a lot right at the moment, but they're just as active as the ones down there. And they look like there's nothing going on. Now, maybe there isn't. Maybe there is a small cluster. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. But and I won't know until I can open the hive. Man, it's almost warm enough to open the hive today, but not quite. So worst case scenario is we've got 2.5 viable colonies here. 2 right there and half right there. But you know what? I'm also going to get rid of this rat trap, because there might be poison in that the bees might eat. Yeah, so we got 2.5, maybe 3. And as far as I understand, or as far as I can see, this hive is absolutely packed to the rim with honey. They got more honey than these 2 bees. So seeing more bees up top doesn't necessarily mean that these are healthier hives and there's more bees. It might just mean that they've eaten through most of their honey, whereas these ones haven't, and they're still clustered down below. And you're just not seeing them boil over the top bars. In the past couple of years, I've been doing something with my hives just prior to winter that gets the bees to cluster down below most of the time, and then work their way up throughout the winter. And so that I know they're not short on honey until I see them come to the top of the hive, whereas a lot of people will their hives, you can't read the hives that way, but I can, and boy, these ones are really cooking now. I don't have the wind screen on this microphone, so I've probably got wind in this microphone all day today. These are looking great. I'd like to leave this mesh off. Just let them clean. You know what? I'm going to leave it off. I'm going to just roll the dice and leave that mesh off for the next couple days, just so that they can easily clean out all the junk that's inside the hive.